What's up, Neck Nation? This is Kit James with NECKROOTS.
Austin Davis.
And thanks for joining us for another podcast, another episode. Today we're going to talk about it will all work out.
It'll all work out. We didn't even we talked about this for maybe about 5 seconds, Kit. In fact, we walked in today and was like, hey, what are we going to talk about? Right? And I think that's kind of our theme. The last couple things that we've done here is, let's just kind of go with the flow and see what topic is on our minds. And so, but yeah, everything will all work out. And I think this goes back to stress. We talked about stress, and I don't stress about anything unless anything means everything, right? Which means, dude, I stress about everything. There is nothing on this planet. Even when things are going good, I'm stressed that they're going to end up going bad, right? So there's nothing that I don't stress about. And I think we're a little bit different that way. And you can kind of talk about your approach. But every time, Kit, I have got myself all bundled up and just stressed out, worried, sweating, anxiety, all of it. Right? It always ends up working out in the end. Yeah. Right? And sometimes it may take a little while to see it. Right? But it always does. Right? And I wish I would learn from that. Right? I wish I could get myself into a place where I stop stressing about things in the moment. Right? Where I just calm down, take a back seat, let things happen, fix them as we go along. Right? Because whether you're stressing about it or whether you're not stressing about it, you still have to fix the problem. Yeah. You still got to go through it, right? So I wish I could get my mindset into such a way that I don't stress about these things. But I think this is a good topic. I think this is really good for all of us.
It's something. I mean, my wife looks at me like, "Dude, do you ever stress about anything? Like, you can be in the most stressful situation, talking to the most stressful people, and the stakes could never be higher, and you act like it's a game." And I'm like, yeah. Babe, to be honest with you, I'm stressing inside. Yeah. And I am. Everybody is. If they tell you they're not stressing, they're stressing it too much that they're not stressing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because they are. Yeah. It's just the way you handle it. I think that's the way I handle it anyways. When I go into a heavy situation that is stressful, and I just choose not to wear it on my face, right? Yeah. I just choose to turn it into something that's no big deal. And when I was in a closing with a guy, and he says, "Why would I use you and not use a bigger company?" I go, "You should use a bigger company. Honestly, I think that's a good idea. You like being a number, be a number, man. If you want personalized treatment, use a smaller company. But why shouldn't you?" I said, "You should." Yeah. I said, "You seem like a big company kind of guy." Yeah. And my wife was sitting there going, and if the tension could just be cut, I mean, it'd be cut with a butter knife. It was pretty thick. And so, and I sat there and I let the silence kill him. He goes, "Yeah, good answer." And I said, "Okay, cool. This is nice meeting you." He goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa."
We ain't done.
I said, "I thought you said good answer." I said, "Good on you. That is the right answer." Yeah. It's up to you to decide, man. Right. And so, anyways, long story short, in those situations, you almost have to treat it like it's no big deal. And truly, when you look back at anything you've stressed about, just look back. Yeah. It's no big deal, right? And I had to do this with my son, and when he was wrestling, it was the first time he went to a tournament, dude, he puked himself. I mean, he was freaking out. Yeah. And then he'd get more comfortable with the process, when he was on deck to wrestle, who he's going to wrestle, what mat, what floor. I mean, because it's chaos down there. There's 12 mats. You're running from mat 1 to 12. You're wrestling depending on your brackets of if you won or lost or whatever. And it's usually a 2 and out or a 1 and out. And so the pressure's pretty high, and it's a fast-paced thing, It's 3 to 6 minutes, and if someone gets pinned in the first 30 seconds, brackets all change on the TVs, and you sit there, and you might have just got done wrestling, but guess what? You're up. Yeah. And so he would just work himself up, and I'm like, it's no different than the last one, and start trying to train him to look back at the last one. Remember when you were nervous? Yeah. Was there anything to be nervous about? No. But this one's different. I go, no, this one's not different. There's still 12 mats. There's a bunch of dudes running around. TV screens are the same. Brackets are the same. Yeah. And so I think it's a healthy practice. I mean, to be able to look back on your life and go, you know what? I put so much energy and focus into stressing about this thing. And sometimes we give it its own character. It casts its own shadow because of the energy we give it, right?
Yep, for sure.
And we make it a thing when it's really not a thing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's just the best. That's probably one of the best recipes is to look at, man, I was stressed about this and, I worried about something that never came about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when it does come about, do you deal with them like what I told my son? When you're calm, confident, and collected and not worked up, do you wrestle better? Yeah. I said everyone performs better or at their best when they're comfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Having butterflies is normal, right? Being a little bit nervous of something that's heavy or competitive or whatever is normal.
It's normal.
So I think just being calm, that's when you're at your best.
Yeah.
Very few people are at their best when they're completely stressed out.
Yeah, that's true. I've noticed that at some points in my life, like I do stress about everything. There has been some times where I've been calm about something because I'd been through it already, right? And I kind of knew like, okay, this is how this is going to play out.
Right.
Right. And I was able to take a different approach towards that. And it's easier on you, right? If you can maintain a calm demeanor. Because like I said, man, it doesn't matter what face you're showing, the calm face or the stressed out, worried, anxiety face, you're still going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right. You're still going to go through it. You're still going to have to fix it. And I think, I don't know, maybe we spend our lives avoiding stressful situations or running away from stressful situations, right? Nobody likes it. It's not something that we seek, right? But what if it was, Kit? Because on the back end, after you've gone through these, and let's say we learn how to, or over the course of a really long time, it's not going to happen, the first time you go through it or while you're going through it right now, Neck Nation. But, if we can learn how to deal with this stuff and put on the calm face, even though we might be a little bit stressful inside, but we manifest that differently. How do we turn out on the back end of those issues and those trials, right? You come out a better person. You come out, like you would say, you come out of those educated.
Yeah.
Right? And don't we want to seek opportunities to be educated? And reality is, just a couple episodes ago, or maybe it was last episode, I can't remember, we talked about side hustles, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's not stressful about starting a side hustle, right?
Yeah.
There's unknowns, right?
Yeah.
There's things that you can stress about, but that's gaining an education. That's learning something new. That's learning something new about yourself, learning something new about an industry, whatever it is. So I think it's okay for us to seek out these things or at least embrace them as they come.
Yeah.
Right? Because they do make us better. They build on us.
You're right. And if you look at the world in general and you go back 20 years, we do live in a darker, more complex and crazy world today than 20 years ago, right? And there's depression and there's all kinds of weights and pressures that the world puts on you, and it gets heavier and heavier. And that process of learning what that weight feels like it's a pattern, right?
Yeah.
And you also learn to fear certain things through that process. And so I think it's really good to recalibrate and look back and take an inventory, if you will, and say, how did I get through this and that? I remember there was a time in my life where it was so heavy and complicated, and I'm like, how am I going to get through this? And I was praying about it and just spending some time by myself, and thought came to my mind, it's like, look behind you. That mountain behind you is bigger than the one in front of you.
I love that.
And I just a thought that came to my mind. I'm like, frick, I can climb this one. It's not as big as the one I just climbed.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
Yep.
it's good to look back at those and update, take an inventory and update our expectation and say, I can do this. I've got through this and I've got through that. Our survival skills and our survival mechanisms as human beings are, they're just rigorous, right? We got grit. We're born with it. We just got to tap into it, right?
Yep.
I was telling the thinker to not do stinking thinking and start acting, right? Let's figure it out, because we are so capable of doing it.
Yeah, there's something that my mom always tells me, and it kind of goes along with that situation, that example you brought up of being in that meeting, right, where the guy was really putting pressure on you. You already had pressure walking into that. But my mom, she's always told me, you can't give life to the what ifs, right? Because the what ifs, that's what stresses you out.
Yeah.
Right. And I do that all the time. And then the other thing she tells me, which is what I think you did in your situation, or your example there, is you act as if, right?
Yeah.
You act as if you're not stressed. You might have a little bit, but don't act that way. Don't let people see it, right? Because as much as we want to surround ourselves with good people, there's always people around us that are going to be critics. Yeah. And the second that somebody sees that you're stressed out, maybe this is in a work setting, right? We've got people that we like at work. We've got people that we don't like at work, right? Whatever it is. And the second that they see you're stressed out, they feed on that, man. Yeah. They feed on it. They're like, oh, you're in a bad way. This is my time to get a leg up on you, or whatever it is. And
even if you do like them.
Even if you do like them, right? There's backstabbers out there. But, act as if, right? And that helps you. I think that'll help. It should at least help me to get through it a little better. And I love your example of the mountain behind you is bigger than the mountain in front of you, right? I thought about this a lot, right? Because I'm not saying that I've been through everything. But for me, I feel like I've been through a lot, and I hope everybody probably feels like they've been through a lot.
We've all been through something.
Yeah, we've all got our own trials and our own problems that we've all dealt with. Nobody gets a free pass on that, right? So, but there have been times where I've looked back and I'm like, you know what, I got through this. I should be able to get through that. But I'll be honest with you, the way I handle it in the moment, like I said before, it's not good. And that leads to other things, right? Stressing out and manifesting that stress through your actions and through your emotions and all that, it's not healthy. It leads to other things. I mean, I've been in the depths of depression, right? I mean, I've dealt with depression since I was a kid, but through these situations, like the depression gets worse. It gets way bad. It almost gets to a point of no return at times, right? And then physically,
it gains momentum. Huh?
It gains momentum. And then physically, I mean, there was a time in my life where I ended up putting on like 50 pounds, right? So physically, my health absolutely suffered, and my diet just went to shit, just garbage, right? McDonald's, whatever I could do and ice cream, whatever I could do to feed the stress or whatever, right? Trying to find some other things to escape. It just has a real negative impact on all parts of your life if you don't manage it correctly. And I think that's what you're getting at here, kid, is you're going to have stress.
Yeah, no matter what.
Learn to manage it.
Yeah. And you know what? There's no right way to manage it. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
The way I manage it is I could walk into a completely stressful situation. You wouldn't know I was stressed, but inside I'm probably stressed.
Yeah.
I liken it to a duck on the water. When someone says, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this. Can you get this done by this date? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure we can. Well, pretty sure. I mean, I've taken on some stuff that had a tight timeline with no clue how I was going to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And my son goes, Dad, there's no way we can do that. I said, hey, don't talk like that. He goes, well, how are we going to do it? Frick, I don't know. Let's put our heads together, but let's not race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? Let's figure it out. And we figure it out.
Every time.
And so I liken it to a duck on the water, man. That duck just looks like he's chilling like Bob Dylan, right?
Oh, sure.
Truth is, his feet are under there, goes motoring.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And that's how I am. And in situations like that, it's funny because it kind of calms you, because you'll see the tide of the room. You'll see the body language change. You'll see the, right? You could be completely stressed out and turning red, but, you're leaning back going, all right, yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's be whatever.
Yeah.
And you put on the calm, the calm body language and act like you're not stressed. And what happens is our emotions are driven from motion. And so we're almost kind of tricking ourselves too, right?
Yeah.
Because motion equals emotion. And if our emotions are freaking out, stressful, then that motion's going to come out in that emotion.
It's going to multiply it.
Yeah. And so sometimes you can really put a damper on it and at least control it to some controllable situation and get through it without completely going bananas, right? And losing your performance and whatever you're doing. And you can almost trick yourself by your own body language.
Yeah, I like that. And one thought that came to my mind is, in order for us to, like, let's say you have my approach, right? Which is I wear the stress on my face 99.9% of the time, right? Maybe the first step to changing that is acceptance. I'm not talking about, accepting that, you're never going to be a better person, or accepting that this is just how life is and it never gets better. That's not the kind of acceptance I'm talking about. In fact, every episode we preach against that, because the truth is life is what you make it, and you can change it if you want. But acceptance of the situation, because there's things that you can't change, things that, for instance, I've got a close friend of mine, been a friend for 15 years, right? And he went through, he got cancer, and it was a pretty crazy battle, but he beat it. And this guy just had the most positive attitude the whole time. And then the cancer came back, and the doctor's like, listen, you got a 10% chance that you're going to make it through this one, because it's in your bones now. And we can do this procedure where we're going to replace your bone marrow. We're going to get a bone marrow donor, and we're going to do this, but there's only a 10% chance you're going to live. And his mind is like, oh, well, then I'm going to live, right? And think about how stressful that situation would be, right? Like, I'd be focusing on the 90%, not the 10, right? But he made it through, right? Yeah. And it's just this idea of, these are the situations.
He's the 10%er.
He's the 10%er, but these are the situations. Like, I've got cancer. Ain't no way around it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Accept it for what it is. That's what it is, right? And once we're able to accept that in our minds, right, that this is our situation, now I own it, right? It's up to me to get through it and to fix it, right? I think that you can manage that better. So I would suggest that, at least, I'm going to try this better, is in the middle or at the beginning of these things, right? Work on my acceptance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that guy looking at the 10%, it's admirable, right? It's what a great example. But I think even you, Austin, or me, you put us in that same situation. I still think I got faith that you would look at that 10% the same way. And the reason is it's so impactful. I mean, it's life or death, right?
It is.
You look at the 90%, you accept the 90%, you're sealing your death.
Yeah.
When you have kids, responsibility, and you want to be an example in this life for them, even if you don't make it and you go out fighting, that example is going to stick with them forever.
Yeah.
Right? I think we're all bigger fighters than we realize, right? And if you were in that situation, I'll bet you would go, well, they say this, but.
Yeah.
Right? And I got confidence that that's exactly how you would handle it.
Yeah.
Because
Thanks, Kit.
It's a big deal. And if you don't make it for whatever reason, it's your time. And you're going to give the example of, I went out swinging.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not going to line up on with your motorcycle and go, there's a 10% chance I win this race.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Cancer's just another race, bro.
Just another race. I like that.
Right?
I like that. So are all of our other trials.
Exactly.
Right? They're all just another race.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? They're all just whatever it is that you're into, Neck Nation.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, if you knit blankets, it's all just another knitted blanket. I don't know what you do, man. I don't know how many of us are sitting around knitting blankets anymore, because you can buy them for $5 at the Walmart. But
right.
It's just another thing. So I like that. That's good, Kit.
And I think along with our stress is the people we surround ourselves with, right? One of the best ways to get rid of stress, when you're stressed, you're focused on you.
Yeah.
You're not focused on anyone else.
Yeah.
When you go focus on helping someone else, if you haven't noticed, when you're serving someone else and you're into that service or into that good deed, bro, everything that is going wrong in your life or that you're stressed about goes out the window, right?
Yeah.
It just does.
It kind of does. You don't have time to worry about
right.
it.
And so
someone else.
There was a story about a farmer, and this farmer, he would grow wheat, and he had the best wheat in the county 10 years running. And some lady from overseas that wanted to grow wheat just like him came over, and she was going to ask him for some of his seed, right? And she goes, and she was really apprehensive. She didn't want to talk to him, and she goes, I made this trip. She was nervous. She was stressed, right?
Yeah, sure.
And he could tell. And so he's like, what can I help you with? She goes, you know what? I heard that you're the guy that won the best wheat in the county for the last 10 years, and I just want to know how you do it. And he goes, it's all in the seed. And she goes, would you share that seed with me? I came a long way. He goes, absolutely. And she goes, really? And he goes, yeah, absolutely. I'll share it with you. And he goes, follow me. And she goes, do you share this with people? I mean, your recipe, your secret recipe, or your seed or whatever? He goes, every one of my neighbors. And she's like, why was I even stressed about it, right?
Yeah.
Here I am so stressed that he's going to say, well, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that's what he would do.
Yeah.
And so what was interesting that she learned, she goes, so have you shared this with anyone else? And he goes, yeah, all my neighbors, every one of them. She goes, but you're winning the best wheat in the county and you're giving them seed? And he goes, yeah, how do you think I win? She goes, I don't know, I'm confused. And he said, well, the thing that you don't realize, when the wind blows, the cross-pollination, right, it blows the wheat and the seed. And he goes, if they have bad wheat or bad seed, their crops are going to be bad. It's going to cross-pollinate into my good seed, and it's going to make it hard for me to grow good wheat. Yeah. And he goes, I make sure I share it with all my neighbors so they can have good wheat. And when the wind blows and the cross-pollination is all the same quality seed, then it helps my crops.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, and he goes, what's the moral of the story? And she goes, share the good.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, and know who your neighbors are, right?
Yeah.
And know which way the wind blows, because where I'm at is where, and you could take that throughout life and say, you know what, when I'm stressed, let me cross-pollinate, man, and go help somebody else and forget about my own struggles, right?
Yeah.
And just to have we're supposed to find joy in this life. And you know what? To find joy in this life, man, we got to hit the button, send the elevator down and pick people up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that story kind of just, I remember she was so stressed about asking him for his seed, but she wanted to get it.
Yeah.
And then when she realized what's behind it all and the way he thinks, and it was just a kind of a life-changing moment for her.
Yeah, it's another lesson to, like you said, who do you surround yourself with? Do you surround yourself with people who are going to promote your good growth, or are you surrounding yourself with people who are going to contaminate it, right? Yeah. And so what a great example, Kit. What a perfect example.
Because no matter what, there's going to be cross-pollination, man.
There is. Yeah. We tend to pick up the behaviors of those around us.
Yeah.
Right. It's just something that happens.
Yeah.
Whether it's intentional or unintentional, right?
Yep.
It's part of our nature. And so I think, think back on this, Neck Nation. Like, I know we've mentioned this in some other episodes, but are you what kind of neighbor are you? Right. Are you the kind of neighbor that people go to because you're going to cause positive growth in their life? Or are you the kind of neighbor that's causing contamination? Right. And if you're contamination, you're feeling it yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. And you know what? If you are, there's always a chance to work on it. There's always a chance to change. Right. Yep. That's the whole motto of the NECKROOTS podcast is you can change. Right. You can become better. So yeah, don't be a contaminator, and surround yourself with the good people so that they cause you to grow good crop.
And be willing to look outward instead of inward.
Yeah.
Especially when you're stressed. When you look outward to the needs of other people's, it just seems to dampen and dilute your own stress.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Well, I think that's a pretty good message for today, Kit, don't you?
Yeah. It'll all work out. Just remember that.
Yeah. It'll all work out. Always does.
Austin and I were sitting in the kitchen here at the NECKROOTS Ranch, and we were like, what should we talk about today? And there was a plaque up on the wall that said it'll all work out.
It'll all work out.
And that's
like,
it.
Man,
Send
that's it.
Send it.
Send it. Let's do it. Awesome, Neck Nation. Well, we'll leave you with that message. Remember to like and share this video and hit the subscribe button. Every Tuesday, we got these episodes dropping in the morning, so just make sure you get that notification. We know we got some subscribers out there, but I also know that you're not all watching, so make sure you hit that notification button. Check us out on Facebook, on Instagram. We do some posts on there. Inspirational stuff. Sometimes it's just things that's going on in our life and things that we're doing, so pretty good there. We're on TikTok. We got a few videos there, some shorts and stuff that you could check out. And then also check out neckroots.com. Get yourself an awesome hoodie. It's getting colder outside, so it is hoodie weather. It's a cardigan, but thanks for noticing. Right? So get yourself something. Get yourself a hoodie and a hat, and we'll leave you with that. Bless up, Neck Nation.
Bless up.